how do you work out how much you need to save for retirement? There's something called the Trinity study. And the Trinity study said that at retirement, you can withdraw around 4% of a portfolio's value every year. And you know that it should get you to the end of retirement. There's a lot of if, buts, maybes on that. But if we just use that as a rule of thumb, that would mean if you had £1 million as a pension pot, you could draw about 40 grand a year off it. And it should last you for about a retirement. Some people will say that actually it should be 3% or 5%. You know, if you say 3%, you're being more cautious. If you say 5%, you're being a little bit more aggressive. So what we can do then is we can go, okay, how much money do I need to live today? And I think the reason we do it off the figure we do today is because people underestimate how much they might spend in retirement. What I would say though is if your aim is to buy a house, strip out the housing costs. So you're not going to be paying a mortgage, but you're not going to be traveling to work, but you're on a 7-day weekend. You're going to want to do stuff with your life, I would hope. You take that monthly figure, you times it by 12, and then you times that by 25 to get the 4% rule. So that 25 figure, the big figure that you'll get, it will be big, is the pot that you need to be able to draw 4% a year from it relatively sustainably. The problem with that number is it doesn't give you an inflation adjusted number. This is where it gets really terrifying because, you know, what we're saying is that in 30 years time, that £1 million won't be £1 million anymore. It's going to be, you know, it won't buy you as much, say. So you take that big figure and then you run it through an inflation calculator and maybe you assume that inflation is 3%. And you know that in 30 years then that figure is going to be a couple million, few million maybe. And what you would then do is you would back work from that and say, okay, how much do I need to save a month to hit that figure? The thing you want to, again, so it gets convoluted at this point because of the inflation piece. Don't forget that your wages and your savings rate is likely to increase with inflation as well. So while everything decreases in value, so money decreases in its purchasing power, wages go up and stuff as well. So, you know, the average salary today, 30 years ago, it looks huge, but there's people that were saving 30 years ago for their retirements today and they're doing okay. You know, everything lifts up through that process of inflation over time. I would say start with the 25 rule. The 4% rule, which is times by 25. George Agan had a different rule. What was George Agan's? We got that written down.
375.
So he said, yeah. So the 375 rule, you take your monthly expenditure and then you times it by 375, and that will give you your big number, the amount of money that you need. And importantly, the reason it's 375 is because it allows for 20% tax as well, and for you to still end up with the amount that you need to live off based on today's current expenditure. So do both figures and look at them and depress yourself.
And it's also how long you're going to be retired. George Agan says 30 years. So like, obviously we're living longer, so your retirement might not be 25 years, it might be 30, it might be longer, hopefully.
Yeah, I don't think you can answer this question in your 30s. I don't think you know enough about what's going to happen down the line to seriously answer it. In the same way as the plans I had for my life in my 20s have not materialized in any way, shape or form. My life is completely different to how I'd expect it. And I suspect that if I try and look another 15 years out, it's going to be the same, right? So I don't think you need to know the answer. I think what you probably just need to do is have your eye on the goal and save as much as you can, but still live your life at the same time and approach it that way. If you're tucking away 10 to 15% of your total gross income through employer match and other forms of saving in your 30s, I think you're going to probably be all right, you know, because once you get to 40, 50, you'll dial that up because you're like, I'm earning more money, the kids have left, I've paid off the mortgage, so we're going to slam all that into pension. You know, if you're younger, saving anything above the auto enrollment is going to put you probably in a good place. Yeah, we all crave that number, don't we? We crave like how much? Who knows? Who knows? AI might just, you know, cure death. We live forever, and then
you keep pushing this. You really believe AI is going to keep you around forever?
Yeah,
and just compounding your pension for
I'm
like
not
ever.
Leaving. That's what I do. That's what I do. Like, I was talking to someone past. She's like, "Why do you want to live forever?" I was like, "I think the compounding.
Think about the returns.
Run it through.
What if it's 700-year compound
that's what I mean,
calculator?
mate. I'm gonna be a quintrillionaire, like richest man on the planet. He's been compounding. He started with £1 in 1988, and now it's like, you know,
multi-billionaire.
Yeah. Quadradecadillionaire. That was a clip from our full-length conversation, me and Tamaine. We don't have them very often, do we? But when we do, they're always special. But anyway, we answered your biggest money questions, and you can watch the full thing right here.